Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. I am your host, Tom Baker, at Tom Baker, at the SWN Tom on Twitter, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter. And of course, we have our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for Steering Wheel Nation. At The Wheel Nation is the handle for all three socials. I will be joined momentarily by our Steering Wheel Nation editor, Jacob Seelman, and NASCAR is on our minds tonight. We leave NASCAR alone for about 10 days and two bombshell announcements come out, the first of which we're going to talk about as our lead story here tonight, Jacob. Steve Phelps, who was the NASCAR commissioner sometime before the end of this month, will no longer be the NASCAR commissioner.
That is correct. Steve Phelps is departing the sport. He will not be replaced. That coming out in the wake of the settlement from the 2311 and Front Row antitrust lawsuit. Not that it, let me rephrase that. It wasn't part of the settlement, but we believe the writing was on the wall that, with everything that came out, Tom, during the trial, the text messages and other things from Phelps and a few of the other NASCAR leadership, I feel like we all believed something was going to be changing, but we were not sure exactly what. And this obviously was the first answer from a leadership standpoint. I think the big thing that to me that stuck out when this was announced a little over a week ago now is that so many drivers, teams, and decently high up people within the industry have been very quick to say that they don't believe this is necessarily a great thing, just based on the fact that there were a lot of positives that Steve Phelps did, having been with the sport in various capacities for nearly 2 decades. I guess to me, it kind of felt like somebody had to take the fall, and Steve was kind of the one that ended up having to fall on the sword. I think this is going to, the effect of this is going to be felt a lot more down the road maybe than immediately, but I'm curious your thoughts, because certainly the day it came out, I about fell out of my chair at my day job. I was not expecting it to come when it did, that's for sure.
I'm not surprised at all. I wasn't surprised. And I don't think it's a case of someone having to fall on the sword. I think Steve Phelps just needed to go. I mean, I think based on all the things that we heard during the trial that came out that were said behind closed doors in, various situations, I think it was pretty obvious that Steve Phelps, the direction that he was taking the sport was just not a good direction. Steve Phelps is not the right guy to lead the sport. I'm not going to say he didn't do anything positive. He was obviously the president, I believe, or whatever title he had before commissioner, when NASCAR came back first as a sport during COVID in 2020. And I thought that NASCAR leadership did a really nice job of leading NASCAR back in a way that was both creative and also graceful and appropriate. Now, on the other hand, I think there were some other things that happened during that time and since that I don't think Steve handled well at all. And I think in some cases, I think some of them really disgraced the sport. So I just think that it was kind of inevitable that, he was going to, he really needed to step down. And I don't think the sport needs a commissioner. They've got plenty of good leadership. I don't think they need another one. So for me, this just sort of reinforced what I believed all along, which was that, this is a sport that needs to be more fan friendly, and it needs a face that can portray that. And I just don't think that's who Steve Phelps was. Not to say he's not good in some ways at what he does, but I still think he was the right guy ever to be in that position in the sport, because I think he's the wrong guy to be the face of it.
It's interesting just that I've seen a lot of places and a lot of upper media that I wouldn't necessarily have expected to defend Phelps's position as, kind of jumping to the narrative that NASCAR isn't stronger without Steve Phelps being a part of it. I just want to read an excerpt of something from Abraham Madcore, who's the executive editor of the Sports Business Journal, which most of us in the sport know Adam Stern, their lead motorsports reporter, as kind of being the spearhead of. But I was really intrigued by a couple of things. I want to read 2 paragraphs from his column that he wrote actually the day before we're taping this show. Quote, Phelps changed the narrative around a sport in decline to one taking new approaches in technology, data, and analytics, social media platforms across NASCAR. Current and former employees praised Phelps as transparent, firm, candid, strategic, and accessible, and someone who put time and effort in establishing relationships. Phelps' departure comes at a terrible time for a sport needing stability and vision. Someone who can win over stakeholders and push a family business forward is going to be an immense challenge. And the concern in the industry is that all the hard work and progress that has been made gets stymied or worse, regresses and imperils NASCAR's place in the American sports hierarchy. Now, I want to make it clear, that's not my words, that's coming from the Sports Business Journal, but that's still some big statements, Tom. I mean, I know everybody has their opinion, but I will agree with what SBJ said on this. I do think we need somebody. I'm not sure it's Steve O'Donnell or anybody else that's currently in place, except maybe Ben Kennedy. But I feel like we need somebody that can step up and be the leader going forward in this time of transition. I'm not saying I know the answer as to who that is, but I disagree with you in that I do think we need a leadership or a face as we kind of push forward into a really big transition period that is kind of headlined by the second news item that we're going to get to in a minute.
I didn't say we didn't need a leader or a face. I said I believe Steve Phelps was never the best choice for either of those two, and I still I will stand on that. I think that what we heard in the trial and what we've seen since tells us that the sport is going to be just fine going forward. I think that the France family has always been the leader of the sport, whether it was Bill France Sr., Bill France Jr., Brian France, or now we do have Ben Kennedy. I don't think you need to be appointed a commissioner or, whatever. I think that Steve O'Donnell will be just fine. I think the biggest thing is that the collective leadership as a group needs the vision that they need to carry out is to bring NASCAR back to a more fan-centric sport. And I think a lot of what Phelps did, and I understand why somebody from Sports Business Journal would say those things, because things like data, which I think that's one of the worst things that's happened to the sport, is the more data that we've introduced and the more that we've gotten it to a point where we have the all of the data sharing between teams. I think it's hurt the sport more than it's helped it. And I think the leadership that's in place will be perfect to carry it forward for now. I don't think we need anybody different at the moment. I think we need stability, and I think we need a better attitude from the leadership, not only toward the teams, but toward the fan base as well. And I think the next thing that we're going to talk about shows that we've made progress in the fan area a bit. And so, no, I mean, look, I give Steve Phelps credit for whatever that he's brought that was good, but I also think there was a lot of stuff that happened that didn't need to happen and that wasn't fan centric at all. And when you have a sport, the fans have to be first. Otherwise, there's no sport to have.
Fair enough. And as you alluded to, actually, as both of us alluded to in the past couple minutes, the second news item that we're getting to, that Tom, as you said, and I will get more of your thoughts on the whys behind some of this in a minute. But first, the news. We have a new postseason format, or I guess a return to the old postseason format for all three of NASCAR's National Touring Series in 2026. We are ditching eliminations and winning you're in and the playoffs, and we're going back to the chase. And I will say I am at least more energized about this than I have been in the elimination era, because we get several things back. Number one, we get a larger sample size for a championship. In the Cup Series, we're going back to 26 regular season, 10 race chase to decide the champion. Most points at the end of those 10 races is your champion. So think 5 straight by Jimmy Johnson as how that got done, et cetera, et cetera. We get more importance for each race back. It's not winning you're in. It's the highest guys in points at the end of the regular season qualify for the chase, and that's it. So your body of work in the first 26 matters. And we get more importance on winning, but still rewarding consistency, because we're getting more points, Tom, for winning a race. We're giving 15 more points than what we've been given just for winning a race. We jump from 40 to 55, which, when the rest of the field is 1 point per position, is a big jump. That's almost a 50% jump in points to win a race versus what we've had, which I think does help to balance that scale and make it mean more to win, but still have consistency play in this as well. It's going to be 9 races for the chase in what's now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I had to bite my tongue. I about said Xfinity just then. And 7 races for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for their chase. I know I just threw a lot at you in all of this, so I'll have you break it down. What do you like? Is there anything you don't like?
First, let me just throw out one of my fondest wishes for the 2026 NASCAR season. You know how when we've had Xfinity, we got sick and tired of every NASCAR Xfinity Series driver always saying the car was as fast as Xfinity, whatever. Okay.
Internet.
I want to, I want to hear every NASCAR Xfinity driver sing the last part of the O'Reilly commercial jingle. O'Reilly Auto Parts. And I want to hear it out of them. I want to hear them sing it. I mean, that would be some radio gold right there. Back to topic. So no, I actually love this new format, to be honest. The first thing that I thought, and you're going to probably laugh at this, Jacob, because you know me a long time and you know how I think. The first thing that I thought when I saw this format and read through it was, okay, I wonder if we'll ever have a reason now to sign another Shane Van Gisbergen ever again, because Shane Van Gisbergen can no longer qualify to run for the championship by simply winning a road course race. We have now made it so that you are going to have to be, we have the element that all 36 races equally count. Okay, that's the first thing that's true here. There are no double point shows. No show is more important than the rest. Now, when we get to the last 10 in Cup, 9 in O'Reilly, 7 in trucks, yes, those are playoff or chase races. Now we're going to have to get used to saying chase again. But you still have to run well over the entire season. So I think this goes a long way, and increasing the amount of points that the winner gets for each race from 40 to 55 is great, because it really emphasizes winning races. It de-emphasizes riding around for 3/4 of the race. And besides, we kept stage points. Now, we could have gotten rid of stage cautions and I would have been happy, but we kept stage points. And so all we got rid of in that side of the equation was playoff points, and whatever. They're only going to do one reset, and that's at the beginning of the chase race cycle. And then it's just run to the end, and whoever's got the most points at the end of the season at Homestead in each series, that's who wins the championship. So I know there's going to be a portion of the fan base. No, it should just be all 36 races. Well, look, whether we like it or not, there are other factors here. And I do think NASCAR, and I've heard this twice today already, I've had two different people tell me today that NASCAR really entertained that thought. But there were commitments from other parties that sort of required that there be some sort of a chase format. And so, they wanted some semblance of a playoff at the end. Now, whether that's TV or whether there were sponsor commitments or whatever, it doesn't matter. We eventually may see a full season run again, but I'm perfectly happy with this. I think we took all the stuff out of it that people really don't like or should have liked, Jacob. And I feel like this is going to make the season really interesting, because now winning Daytona doesn't guarantee you anything except the trophy.
Correct. Well, and I want to add to this real quick two things before we slide to a break. Number one, I love the fact that the regular season champion who becomes the top seed going into the chase, the seedings for the chase revert back to regular season points. So first through 16th in that order get the reset. There's a 25 point cushion, basically half a race over second going into the chase. I love that, because it does reward being really good over the course of the first 26 races. And secondly, I love that the rejiggering of making points for winning more is the fact that now, unlike how it's been, where you could have a guy finish 7th, but if they were really good in the first two stages, score more points than the guy who won the race. Now, the only way you can outscore the winner is if you finish 2nd, you sweep both stages, and you get the fastest lap point complete. And then you're only outscoring the winner by that 1 point. To me, you win the race, you should get the most points. And this goes a long way to making that happen once again, which to me is a big deal. It's easier to follow for the fans, and I loved the comment that came out of the press conference earlier today that I read about how we want to be able to explain this to a casual fan in an elevator ride. The length of time it would take for an elevator ride. I feel like this is way easier to explain than the elimination format we had previously.
Well, yeah, depending on how long the elevator ride was, you might need to still go up about 9 or 10 floors, but we did get it there. I agree. No, I totally love this. There's nothing about this format that I can say I don't like. I think they addressed a lot of the glaring issues that people had with the win and you're in, and, one race decides it all. And I think it adds some intrigue still for the end of the season. And, I think you've got an opportunity here to sort of go back and now have a storyline that carries on longer than 1 or 2 races at a time in some cases. So, yeah, I definitely love this. You're going to have to be good at all types of racing now, not just one, in order to get into the chase. And so, yeah, nothing here that I can't say that I like. I think it definitely is going to set the tone for a reset for 2026. And we're going to step aside for a break. When we come back, we got Jacob's Stat of the Week, and we're going to talk about something that is happening in the Craftsman Truck Series that is certainly worthy of some conversation. Stay tuned for that right after this. For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the show, and we have been talking about the NASCAR announcement about the new reverted format in a way, but updated back to the chase. And Jacob, Mark Martin had some interesting comments about the new format, and I know there were a couple of them that really kind of intrigued you.
Yes, there were two. First, Mark's opening comments. And I'm just going to quote him here because I think it's great. Quote, "The fans were yelling at me, we want full season points. So I yelled even louder in the playoff committee meetings and almost got thrown out, like Steve O'Donnell said." I think this is the most perfect compromise that you could ever ask for. It's going to require our 2026 champions to be lightning fast and incredibly consistent. And that's something all of us can get behind. For Mark Martin to be excited, and we know if you watch social media for longer than about 5 seconds and pay attention to anything Mark posts, you know he has been the proponent for full season points. For Mark to be excited that he can be okay with this, I think is a big statement in the right direction. And his second comment, Tom, that I absolutely love is something that you and I have been preaching on this show for months. Quote, "For the broadcasters, for the media, the journalists, and everyone, this is a time for change, a change in how we cover the sport. And in that means instead of every week talking about the cutoff line, the playoff, who's in, who's out, all these things, we need to focus more on our heroes. These guys behind me," referring to Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, and Ryan Blaney, who were the 3 drivers that were part of the press conference announcing this earlier today, that are winning these races are our David Pearsons, our Cale Yarboroughs, our Buddy Bakers of today. And we need our fans to connect with these guys. We need them to connect with the crew chiefs. We need to connect with the teams. Give the fans something that they can connect to and help us build these superstars like they deserve to be. Tom, you and I have been saying for months, we need star power back. Hello.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with that, as we've discussed, again, like you've said, for months. Back when we used to have programs every week, back when we used to do a lot of local advertising, back when we used to promote, black hats, white hats. You knew who the hero was. You knew who the villain was. We don't do that anymore. And now we've got all this digital stuff where we could do it better than ever. But, sometimes these sanctioning bodies get caught up thinking that it's all about them and not about the teams and the stars. But you are absolutely right. And so is Mark Martin. What the fans always connect to is a driver. They don't connect to NASCAR as NASCAR. It's all about a driver. That's why when Tony Stewart leaves, it's hard to keep Tony Stewart's fans unless you have another Tony Stewart. You have to build these drivers up and really not artificially and not just with boys have at it crap, but you've got to really tell their stories, and all of them have stories. You got to get that content out there. So that's I agree with Mark Martin 100%. And I think, at this point, I feel like we're, at least from the format standpoint, I think we got it right this year. And I think we now have a storyline that goes from race 1 to race 36, still has an element that the last number of races are, more important. We've got sort of a countdown to the championship. Winning is rewarded even more. So I really feel like this is a home run. And I hope this will be a great NASCAR season. After all we've been through in the last couple months with the tragedies and all of the court stuff, we just need a better, calm, peaceful 26 NASCAR season. And I'm really excited to get to Daytona and get it started.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Sealman's stat of the week time: of the 51 drivers who have made at least one postseason in the chase and playoff era, combining the two. So this is going back to 2004. Denny Hamlin has the most postseason berths, 19 total, 7 in the chase era, and he made all 12 of the elimination era playoffs. That's 19. By the way, Denny Hamlin has run full-time in the Cup Series, 20 seasons in total. This year will be number 21. He has only missed the postseason one time in 20 years. That's how good Denny Hamlin has been since coming onto the scene in 2006. And I have little doubt in my mind that that's going to continue in 2026, and he's going to make it an even 20 in the postseason qualification category, because this to me sets up very nicely for Denny Hamlin in my mind. All right, real quick, Tom. Ram, Paulig Racing, we're having a gong show. It's like it's 2005 again when Jack Roush decided he was going to do that to decide a driver for one of their Fords. We got 15 drivers going for one Paulig Ram truck in 2026. What sticks out to you about this?
Here we go again. I don't know. I've never been a big... I'm kind of I'm a little bit bearish on this. I've just never been a big proponent of these things, because I don't know how you make them fair. I don't know how you make them and you've got 15 drivers of varying backgrounds and degrees of experience and such, and then there's at least 6 or 7 of them to me that stand out way above the rest. So not to get into the weeds here, obviously they already know who won, so somebody's got a seat in a Ram truck coming up with Paulig Racing this year. I'll be interested to see how they did theirs, because I was never a big fan of the gong show at all.
Fair enough. I'll touch on this real fast. You've got tour modified representation with Austin Beers, the defending NASCAR Tour champion, Mike Christopher Jr., Teddy's nephew. You've got Cars Tour late model representation between Minnie Tyrell, Cody, and Casey Kelly. You've got Kate Brown in there. You've got Trevor Ward too, Jared Fryer. You've got Smart Mod representation. Jonathan Cash is in there. Chase Burrow, Landon Huffman. I loved seeing that for Landon. He's just a great personality. Tanner Rice, who's got past ARCA experience. Carson Ferguson from the dirt late model side. Tom, you and I have watched Will Fergie grow up from a little bandolero shoe now to doing what he's doing on a regular basis. There's just a lot of great stories within this 15 driver field, and premieres January 25th on Fox and then goes to YouTube for the remaining 7 episodes. Aiden.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch it play out. I can think of at least 3 drivers that they clearly missed that should be in there, but there again, that's why I say when you do this kind of a thing, you can never please everyone, and you're always going to leave drivers out that shouldn't be left out of it. So hopefully we'll get a good result and it'll be fun to watch. With that, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we have got our last lap segment and we're going to talk open wheel of the asphalt variety right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the show. It is time to jump into our last lap segment, and we're going to flip from NASCAR to open wheel sprint cars of the asphalt variety. Jacob, you were at the Must See Racing banquet. You were actually the MC of that banquet this past weekend. We've got a driver that we're going to hear from. Tell us who it is and set it up for us.
So, number one, I just want to set up the fact that this was the first Must See Racing Night of Champions banquet that we have done live television for, live streaming television for. Racing America helped us broadcast the whole night from start to finish. Ton of fun. If you have a chance to go to Racing America on Facebook, they actually have the whole video of the banquet, not just saying that as a shameless plug. I really thought there was a lot of entertaining moments that were not, but done solely by yours truly. So, a shameless plug, but not exactly. Go back and watch it if you have time. It really was great fun. We were able to get it done in under 90 minutes. But of course, the highlights being that we honored our 2 champions for the sanctioning body. Joe Ligori of the famed Ligori Open Wheel Racing family picked up his 3rd Must See Racing 410 Sprint Car Championship, and JJ Hennis of the Hennis Open Wheel family, predominantly in super modifieds, as Tom knows, picked up the Must See Midwest Lights Crate Sprint Car Championship, also for the 3rd time. But I did get a great interview with Joe after the fact. He had a chance to hit the party bar, so it was still coherent and fun, and gave a lot of insight into what was a really interesting season. Didn't visit victory lane, but came home with the championship anyways. Joe did, and he had a lot of insight into why that was and what he hopes to accomplish going into 2026 away from his family team and with a new opportunity. I'm not going to spoil it. Let's go to Joe and hear it from him.
I don't know if I guess we can say the after party's begun. The party bar's open in the other room, but we've stolen the 2025 Must-See Racing champion away for a few minutes. Joe Liguori officially got to celebrate with the big trophy for a second year in a row, third championship overall. I know it wasn't with the wins that you might have hoped for this year, but the consistency was unmatched over the course of the season. What was it that had you keep on keeping on, basically, even, through what could have been bad races that ended up being pretty solid?
I don't know, just persistence. Ain't no quitting this, guys. So we'll keep digging along, and it was a good year, for the most part. Everything we finished every race didn't have any mechanical failures really on our own parts there, so it was a pretty good year. Just no wins. We had, I think our best was a second and some third. So just consistency won a championship.
What did you feel like was missing in terms of getting to victory lane? Was it any big things, or just, kind of the little things that happen over the course of a night that just never quite fell your way?
We hurt our big motor beginning of the year, kind of was with the baby motor all year. I don't know if that was a lot of it. I mean, a lot of qualifying, yeah, 'cause, the way the new format was, you really needed to qualify up front pretty good, and then with that 4 cars locking in, we seem to be fifth more often than not. With having to pass and run top 2 in a heat race, sometimes we get to third or something like that, or once we had to win it, we get to second, right? So we miss out by 1 every time, but then you just start in the back, and you get fast guys in front of you with wing racing. It's really hard. Straight up start's really difficult to do any kind of passing, especially when everybody's the same speed, right? So it's sometimes your windshield, sometimes you're the bug. This year we kind of were the bug that didn't get smashed by the windshield, I guess you'd say. So it was still all around a good year.
I know at the end of the year, as evidenced by the shirt you're now wearing, you had kind of transitioned towards the PCS Racing Group, going to be with them for 2026. What did you find in the chemistry with that group that, really has made that the right place to be for you now going forward?
I don't know. Running your own stuff for so long, it's always nice to get the opportunity to drive for other people. I drove non-wing for Bernie Liskey a couple times, and we drove with George Rudolph too for quite a bit of wing stuff. And then, they were looking for a driver. George called me up and said, "Hey, I'm giving you to these guys. They need a driver who can do more for you than what anybody else really can." So, Doug really stepped up, and Jerry and Frazier with PCS Racing, they've really stepped up to the plate and helped me out a ton, and kind of get their program turned around a little bit too, and get them out of the state, come racing up north, and it'll be really fun. I think with everything going on with the plans for this year, I think we're gonna have a really good season come up there in 26.
I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but driving for somebody can sometimes take the pressure off, just not having to worry about your own stuff. Do you feel that a little bit, or is it a case of Joe Liguori just keeping on doing what Joe Liguori does?
Just keep on doing what you're doing. It's the pressure of knowing you walk out to the shop and you have to work on it every day is off, obviously. We're very reliant on those guys. They do a really good job. I'll still show up the day before race down there and finish things up and tidy it because, thankfully, those guys want to do everything to my liking or what I think we could win races with. So very fortunate enough they give me that opportunity to do that. And then this summer, their cars are actually coming up to our shop this year, and we'll be housing them through June through August. So most of the races will be ran out of our shop up north here, treating it like it's our own equipment, just be the PCS racing car.
What do you feel like you need, you and PCS together, to end the drought and get to victory lane?
Just a little bit of lady luck. We've been fast a couple times and have had issues, right, where just dumb little things where it just takes you out. And we've run second a couple times with those guys, and just you see those underlying issues, go, well, what if? But, there's always a what if in racing, right? You start 6th and run second, or you start on a pole and run second, right? What's a better night, right? You still run second. But it's just a little bit of luck here and there. We'll get it, and we'll pick off a couple wins this year.
And I know we talked about it off the top. 3 championships now, second in that category. Certainly exclusive company in the Must-See Racing record book. What has it meant to you? Obviously, you've been good on pavement in your career in a lot of different disciplines, but what's it meant to you to be able to have this kind of success with Must-See, and what Must-See's meant to the sprint car community?
it means a lot, right? Try to be up there with the elites in the sport, right? There's a lot of really good guys that do this stuff. Jimmy McCune, Jason Bond, Ryan Litt, Aaron Wilson. Those guys are all really good. Just to be up there with those guys and kind of the elite of the crowd, right? Must-See is the only true 410 wing sprint car series in the country, and to be a 3-time championship is pretty cool.
Joe Liguori is going to defend his 2025 title in 2026. Excited to have him back. Excited to have PCS Racing join the stable. And we are also as excited as we are for the 410 season to get going, Tom. I'm a little bummed because 2026 will not include the Midwest Lights freight sprint cars. Unfortunately, this economics of that series didn't make sense for Must-See to continue with them next year. I'm bummed out about it a little bit just because JJ, the Hennis family, guys like Charlie Bauer, Andrew Bogus, Keegan Weiss, young teenager who really stepped up in a big way this season. There's just some great young guys in that division that I won't get to see as much of at the racetrack in 26. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I know a couple of them are looking at potentially making some 410 starts in the big cars. So we'll wait and see where that's going to go. But regardless, there's other plans there for some of those guys that we're going to get to feature through the Steering Wheel Nation platforms as the year goes on. I'm excited to tell some of those stories as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with where Must-See is right now as a series. And, Jim's always done a great job with it, but I feel like it's a nice, tight series that has provided real consistency every year in quality. And even if the number of races varies slightly, just really, really impressed, Jacob, with how he's doing things and how the series has grown and maintained its quality in what's been obviously a very changeable motorsports environment over the last 4 or 5 years. So was cool to see how well the banquet went, and like you said, there's a lot of young talent in that series, and I'm really excited. The asphalt sprint car racing in general seems to be enjoying a bit of a revival here, which I love.
For sure. It's going to be interesting, too, to see how some of that balances with the new Race for the Million mini-series, the 4-race mini-series that Richard Feeler and DJ Racing, Bobby Santos's car owners, are putting on over the course of those 4 races this season. Maybe who it entices to run more asphalt sprint car racing than perhaps what they have in the past. There was a lot of chatter about that at the banquet this past weekend, and I'll be excited to see how kind of that develops as we go into the spring and the summer. Our opener, Friday, May 8th, Anderson Motor Speedway in South Carolina, one of my favorite tracks on the planet, Tom.
Oh yeah, Anderson is always a good time, and I would love to be able to, and I'll try to see if I can get down there for that one, because I would love to see the sprint cars run at Anderson. And with that, we will bring this show to a close. For more exclusive content, steeringwheelnation.com is the place to go. If you are on the social networks, it's at The Wheel Nation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Jacob is Jacob Seelman 77 on Twitter. I am the SWN Tom on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And that will wrap it up for another week. We will be back with another episode of the Tom Baker Show on POWERTube TV next week. Until then, I'm Tom Baker. Have a great week, everybody.